Good morning, everybody. I made some breakfast. Usually Simon does that, but today I was in the mood to cook something. So I made a chickpea, tomato, pepper curry with some dill that he got from a garden locally here in Gabriola, some kale from the same garden, and a little side salad with my homemade tahini sauce, some toast, and of course some dessert for breakfast for no Latin food. And I like a happy juice in the morning. Yes, we have a long day in front of us and we don't know when we're gonna get lunch, so that's why I made a big breakfast. Yum. Hey Simon, hard at work or hardly working?
Hardly working, obviously.
So by feeding back to the grid, we're
heated blanket, podcasts,
so that it lowers the price.
Maybe video games.
Exactly. And so Cliff Below is arguing
Puff is on the way.
Actually, you know, even though they're getting paid more than a regular power plant, they're actually getting paid called a time of use rate. As in, you get paid more if your solar is going during those high price times, like later in the afternoon.
That's him. That's him. He's coming.
I think there's another airplane left.
Over the red boat, you see?
No,
no, that's him. I can see it from the...
All right, we're back on the boat. Welcome back. It's a beautiful day today, and it's a little windy, but I want to get some work done underneath us, down in the floor. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the floor because I've been working a little bit off camera on it, and one of the big problems that I've been playing around with is how to deal with the Warham's Flex. Now, if any of you are familiar with Warham designs, they're designed to flex. Now, really, that is the beginning and end of most people's knowledge of Warhams, just that it flexes. And they don't really look into the plans and how it flexes or how it twists. So I've gotten a lot of really strange suggestions in the comments over the last few months. But the best way I can describe it is the hulls, because they are V-shaped hulls instead of U-shaped hulls. Fiberglass catamarans have U-shaped hulls. Warham catamarans have V-shaped hulls. Now they dig in deeper into the water. Because of that, there are more forces from the waves exerted on the sides. So the hulls want to shift a little back and forth. Now each beam is bolted to the actual center part of the hull. And so it's not going to shift the beams around any, and you're not going to get flex back and forward either. The flexing there is minimal. What you're really getting is a side-to-side, I want to say leaning, okay? So think of it as old dog is swinging her hips. So to facilitate the hip swinging nature of this boat, I'm having to build this floor as kind of a contained unit, the hulls as contained units, and then the whole thing has to move a little bit. But the way I'm designing it, I am putting through bolts, as I said, down here in the bulkheads. So, where the bulkhead meets the beam, you'll notice that there's epoxy all along here. This is all hard fastened to the hull. Down below, it's all hard fastened to the hull. These supports that the beams lay on, they're hard fastened to the hull. But the beam itself is loose, and there is a bit of an air gap in there, just a tiny bit. Again, the flex at these hulls, it's not huge, okay? It's only like a little bit here and there, so they don't need that much clearance. They still need to be, taut and stiff enough that my forces can actually be exerted forwards, right? So what I'm going to be doing is sinking a 1/2 inch bolt right down here, close to the pivot point, as you can see, right down there. and epoxying it in, dropping it through, and you'll notice there's a nice little air gap right here. I don't know if you can see that. But the idea is there'll be a little bit of rotation, a little bit of rubbing there. And I'm not concerned so much about it chafing, but we'll have to see down the road. Again, this is a plywood boat, so I get to, you know, make ideas, test them out, and then if they don't work, I get to change them. But for the time being, this is the plan. Hip swinging old dog is gonna make her way across some big old waves and do a little twist and shake. But just a very little twist and shake. It's not anywhere near as much as people seem to think on the internet. Yes, the internet, the authority on all things. All right, so that being said, there is one problem, and I'll show it to you. Right, so let me show you what I mean. Down here on the floor, we're laying in some 1/4-inch double thick plywood, and we're gluing it up, and then we're gonna laminate another coating onto it. We're gonna put 1,000 freaking screws to get it to hold straight. But you can see there's 3 separate parts. There's the plywood right there, there's the bulkheads on that side, and there's bulkheads on this side. There'll be more bulkheads in the aft part over here. But those 3 separate parts are going to oscillate a little bit on each other. So there's not oscillate, what's it, like a hinge, do you know what I mean? So they flex a little bit. And the epoxy or fiberglass I put in there, it's such a, like the flex at such a small localized point that it's going to crack if I put it in that way. So instead, what I'm thinking of doing is making each piece, each of the 3 pieces separate. So there'll be a seam in between each that'll be nice and rounded and smooth, and then I'm going to lay on the thickest, most flexible kind of caulking I possibly can. And I'm looking at some kinds of industrial Sikaflex that really flex like crazy, and that's something I can do when we do the haul out, and lay a big fat bead of that, and then we'll test it. We'll see how it does, because all it really has to do is just keep the water out. It doesn't have any structural purpose, just keeping the water out. So yeah, I'm thinking the caulking might be enough. It's just a really weird design because most Warhams, when they build cockpits, they build separate little pods, and those are cool, but they don't give any kind of standing room in them, and they sit pretty much as low as these, but they're like really small. And really, so this is a much wider setup than is on a lot of other Warhams. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how I'm going to make this work. But, you know, nothing wagered, nothing won. So let's try it out. For today, though, I'm going to just get some more plywood down there. I want to get this thing sealed up before I drop another tool through that hole. So I've been underneath the boat for like the last 2 hours, cursing and yelling. To make a long story short, it's a precarious environment to be building the underside of a boat while floating in the water. And water is kind of like a frictionless medium, and so I like trying to hold the piece and hold the drill and get it in, and the whole time I'm just drifting away from it until I can't reach it, and then I have to start all over again. And these stainless screws, I mean, because they're non-ferrous, so you get these stainless screws that are good for marine, and they don't rust, and it's all great, but they're like softer than, you know, butter on a hot day. They just like strip out so easily, and I fumbled them and dropped them into the water. So on low tide, low tide, I go down there and I collect like hundreds of screws. Just, you know, every month I get to go down there during some of these high tides or low tides and now it's going to be at night, and I go out there with a flashlight and just pick up screws, and I can't even use a magnet to pick them up because they're non-ferrous. So I'm taking a little break right now. I didn't get to film it because I'm in a dinghy and I'm sitting in the bottom of it and it's rocking back and forth, and I mean, I get myself wet, so I don't really want to take this camera down there. So I'm terribly sorry about that, guys. This is just going to be an episode where I talk to the camera a lot and explain to you what I've done. Oh, well, what I'm doing right now is having a coffee. And then I'm going to go say hi to the horses and take care of them, because today is a day where I take care of the horses. So I can take you guys along because that's fun and nice to watch, and horses are beautiful. And it'll be relaxing and therapeutic for me because I'm laughing, I'm smiling right now because when I say it to the camera, it seems so silly, but like I'm down there, I'm really mad, like I'm properly angry. I'm glad there's no one else in the bay right now because I'm pretty much just swearing and yelling all the damn time. One of the main bummers that living up here, even though I am in Canada and it's still warm enough, it's November and I'm just wearing a light sweater, it is a bit of a bummer because I am pretty high up in the latitudes. It's 3:30 right now and I'm staring at the sunset. It's not even the equinox yet. It's going to get darker and darker. By the time December rolls around, we don't get very many days where it's not raining. And so it feels like there's just, you know, you go 3, 4, 5 days without ever seeing anything remotely resembling brightness. It's just darkness all the time. Turned into a bit of a vampire. I'm running a couple minutes late because, of course, I left my headlights on in the truck and the batteries are dead. By the way, if you're trying to boost a battery off a lithium pack, it better be a 4-cell lithium-ion pack, not a 3-cell, because a 3-cell drops all the way down to 9 volts, and that is not enough to boost a 12-volt lead-acid starter battery. But I shall let these stresses go and hang out with these ladies. Look at you. I am sorry. I'm at least 20 minutes late, eh? Way too late. Way too late. I'm so sorry. Hi. I'm so sorry. Here. I'll make it up to you. Here you go. Look at that. Snacks. Got snacks on snacks in this bug boy. You guys want to go out for a little walk? Alright, now I gotta give them a few minutes to graze while I prepare dinner and scoop poop. That's basically my job. I serve them dinner and then clean up the aftermath of their breakfast. That's my job. Hello. You gonna come say hi to me directly? Alright. Okay. What you doing? Don't touch the camera, okay? I need it not broken. Hello. Do you like a tree? You like a tree? Get it. Very bossy. Hey, don't touch my camera. All right, we're back on the boat, and I am working down here. Hi, welcome back to the starboard side. We've really let things go here. I'm gonna introduce you to a few new purchases. This bad boy. Have you guys ever seen one of these? This is a heat pump, like you'd have in your house, for air conditioning and for heating, but it uses a saltwater exchange. So these pipes right here, my salt water hooks up to it, well, will hook up to it, and it pumps out and allows me to take, in this case for the winter, it will take the coldness out of the Freon, and when it gets compressed again on the other side, it'll pump out nice hot air out of here. My problem is, it's supposed to have a control board, or a control panel I should say. The control board is in here, but I'm supposed to have a control panel with an Ethernet port. It's a bit dated, and it didn't get sold to me with that control panel, but it did get sold to me for $200. So for a $2,000 or $3,000 system, 200 bucks ain't bad. It's never been installed, so they just lost the control panel somewhere along the way. I want to show you something else I've been working on. It's the plumbing down here. These come out of the sink that's above. If you'll notice, I put 1/2-inch tap-ins right there. Ooh, tap-ins. Do you see those? This one for sure I'm going to use. This one might just be an auxiliary that I plug up down the road, but I thought I'd leave it in there just in case. But that will be a drain for my dish rack, which sits above the deck over here. It'll all be epoxied in, and then it'll have a drain that funnels the water down into the rest of the system. We have another one right here. I plan on using that one for a washer eventually. Something a little bit more permanent than Avalon Bay's washer that I've been using still. And then let's go into this sink over here, which is, it's just the dishes have been piling up because I don't have any sinks. All right, I'll put the world's biggest P-trap down here. It's about 2 feet deep. 2 feet, 1.5 inch pipe, bended twice. Do you see that? And then there's a 1/2-inch tap in down here. I don't know if you can see that guy. And then there's a 1/2-inch fill up here. So eventually when I have the shower basin's gonna drain into that plug there. And down below, that one that will be flooded, that one will be the output for the toilet. So as you're washing your hands or you're running the shower or anything else like that, that water is going to be kept in the P-trap about, I would say about 1.5 liters, give or take. And then we can use that to flush the toilet. A little bit of energy savings there. And I just find that if you use fresh water on the plumbing more than salt water, you don't have to deal with the corrosion and calcium buildup quite so much. So I wanted to have a freshwater toilet, but that burns a lot of water. So then I thought, well, why not just do a wastewater reclamation for my toilet? So yeah, you might see a little bit of soap, the odd beard hair floating around in the toilet, but I don't think that's really any different than anybody else's toilet. I think it'll be just great. It's called a head, actually. This place down here is a disaster. I'm really sorry. I gotta spend some more time cleaning this up. But we're putting in a new through hole, a new 1.5 inch through hole for the output, and then we're gonna keep using the inch wide one for the input. I think it's inch wide. Pretty sure it's inch wide. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Just wanted to give you guys an update on how to make some dinner and cozy up for the evening while all this epoxy dries. A lot of epoxy. Alright, well I hope my explanation of the floor was a little enlightening to some of you, and I hope that maybe one of you can give me a hand sorting out where the hell I'm going to find a control panel for that particular heat pump. It's a Marine Air, and they have air across it, which is now owned by, what's that RV company? Dometic. Now Dometic owns them, but this is an original Marine Air one. And yeah, I'd love to find a control panel or find some way of open sourcing it, because it's an Ethernet port, so maybe there's a serial bus set of like commands that'll allow me to control it. That is just fine with me as well, because it'd be cool to connect it to the network here on the boat. But I'm gonna cozy up with this here delicious meal, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. So thanks for watching. And thanks for sticking with me on this crazy adventure.